How do you make time for both family and business growth and protection? How? And we'll be talking about that today. And I want to tell you that actually in my history, that it came upon a time when I traveled a lot. And I traveled maybe four times per week. And my mom kept my small 3-year-old daughter. So one day my mother became ill, and we had the challenge of trying to decide what to do about my daughter because I had to travel to a meeting that it was a seminar that I had created myself. So I could not cancel that seminar. I had to go to the seminar. So I want you to think about, if you had been in my place, what would you have done? I'm Marlene Foster with Empower the Vision. Today, I'd like to invite you here today with me, and you will be speaking, you'll be listening to Preethi, and you'll be listening to Pranav, and they will be talking about their books. These are authors, a mother and son, and you'll be listening to them talk about their books, and also about about themselves. So I want to first uh, invite Preeti to please tell us about your background. Tell us about your, work background, and then also tell us about your books, please.
Okay, so thank you, Marlene. So I'm Preeti, Preeti Balasubramanian, and my background, so basically from India, and now we are in Canada for almost about 9 years now. And my background career has been in HR and operations and executive support for about 15 years. And so now I'm doing my own thing. So I have my company called the Wonder EA, through which I provide coaching and consulting services for entrepreneurs and small businesses, basically to like one is with the more of a clarity in terms of the mindset shift from being a founder doing it all to more of a CEO who's designing the business and having a team and having systems supporting them. And like I said, I do that in two ways, either through coaching or with an ongoing consulting with them. And yeah, so that's what I do from a business standpoint. But also on the side, I am an author, so I have one a business book, but then most of my other books are books for little children. And I now have two different series. So one is called the Mystic India for Kids, and that's got about 6 books now, and is based on Indian Hindu mythology, but not from a religious text point of view, but then more from the values and the lessons those stories teach us, and that how those lessons can be put to use by kids in the today's world in their classrooms and playgrounds. And the second series where I have the first book was just launched earlier this month.
Hmm.
It's the Everyday Superpower for the series, and there again I'm talking more about so the first book talks about patience as a value, and so it's talks about a little girl's journey about understanding like what's patience and why it's important through like small everyday things that happen between her and her friend, her and her family, and in the school.
Beautiful. I'm listening to you. Good. I mean, that's a lot. And I gotta ask you, have to ask you this question. Remember, you and I spoke earlier, and I was talking earlier about myself and what happened with me, in business and trying to keep the family leveled and everything. How do you do it? I just have to ask you that. How do you keep the business flowing, the business operational, and also keep also a loving family, keeping it all together? Because people talk about a balance. Because as you know, there'll be times when you have to do maybe 60% here and maybe 45 over here. But how do you do it?
So I would say one is definitely, yes, starts with also having a supportive family. So, and now with Pranav, he's old enough so he can do a lot of things himself, and also pitches in looking after his sister from time to time when it's required, like I'm on a call or something, and I can leave them together. And same with my husband, like if I have to be away, say for an in-person show or in-person summit or something, then I can leave because I'm assured that okay, he'll handle the things in the family front and he'll handle things for the children. So having that support system, and two is basically like my business is more like my day job that I do between like 9 to 3, 9 to 4 when the kids are away at school. And most of my writing, or almost all of my writing, has happened in the evenings when I sit on the sidelines watching my kids at one of their activity classes, like they do like swimming or taekwondo and things like that. And when they are there, I'm sitting on the side, and that's when I'm actually with my laptop typing in my stories.
Wow, that you know what? That's commendable. I'd like to just say, girl, that is wonderful hearing that. You know what? Thank you for sharing that with us. And
Thank
if you were to, from your books, within the, but since you and and Pravar will be part of the author challenge, which book that from the series, or is it the nonprofit book, will you be actually focusing on within the challenge?
Um, Probably I would say more on the, I don't know, like depends, I think also on the audience. Because like if most of your audience are more business side of people, then yes, the business book is what I would be showcasing. Or if you do have more parents, teachers, children kind of audience, then I would like to go with the latest book, the one about patience, which I said, because the with the books that are based on Hindu mythology, like though it doesn't exactly only the religious text, but then since there is that story also, it may not be like completely relevant for a larger audience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was sitting there thinking you've got children's books, and then you've got your business, the business side of it also. But wanted to just ask you this: between your books, the nonprofit, and then the children's books that you've done, of course, based on your children, which did you find more challenging? Which one would you say, Marlene? It was really a challenge for me to do. Which one? Which one would you say?
I would say like my last children's book, because like with both my business side of things book and the initial Mystic India for Kids books, they were like, the business side was basically from my own experiences with dealing with like leadership within organizations, or as business, like supporting business leaders. So I think I didn't have a lot of thinking to do, but then it was just having to put things down and then make sure like which order works or what to address first. And same with the Mystic India for Kids, it was basically the same stories that I grew up listening from my own parents and grandparents. So it was just
Mm-hmm.
usually retelling of the same story and then picking up parallels and reference questions and things like that from there. My Though my latest book, which is on patience, that one is completely like, it's a complete story written by me. So it is not based on another story, or it is not based off anything. So that one was like from idea to the entire characters to the entire book, having to think about it and create it and write it. I think that was the toughest book from the whole lot to write.
Mm. And I want to just introduce Praval, and I want to just ask you. I mean, this is so exciting to be talking to you. You're 12
I'm
years old,
13.
13, 13. Okay, and handsome. And so I want to ask you though, if you would tell us about your background, about yourself. And I know one thing, you're a music lover. I love that. I read a little bit about you, but tell us about your background.
So like my mom said, I've been living here in Canada for almost 9 years now. And while I've been here, I've picked up a passion for like music and also writing. And in this matter, I'm sort of inspired by my mother because I want to also like put myself out there and show the world who I am and what I can do. And that sort of inspired me to start writing because writing was something that I was passionate about and I wanted to share that passion with everyone else. So I think I started working on my first book when I was 11 years old, and I published it in May of 2025. And sometime around that time, I also started working on my second book. So my inspiration for my books was less about cultures or values, but more about like everyday life and things that kids my age would go through. Especially with my second book, I tried to emphasize things that kids my age would go through or how kids my age would think about certain circumstances. And yeah, that's basically my background and what inspired me to write
Beautiful.
my books.
It- That's beautiful. Val, between your two books, right? I know you're working on a third book.
Yeah.
Which one challenged you? If you say, Marlene, if I had to choose one that really challenged me, while writing it, while thinking about writing it, which one would you say challenged
Uh,
you the
I
most?
think it would be my second book because while my first book revolved more around like superheroes and things like that, my second book is like more it has like a more it's like more serious, and I feel like the biggest challenge with writing my books, my second book in particular, was trying to think about how people would think that my characters in my story would think. And one other thing was while I was writing my second book, I myself was like dealing with a lot. Like, for example, at school, I was dealing with issues with bullies and other kids, and writing sort of became my way to vent out my emotions and to try and calm myself down. I also, during this time in school, I used to go to the libraries during lunchtime and help them out with like organizing books and telling people where books are, and that sort of inspired me because it felt great to be in a place where I was calm and I
Mhm.
was able to focus on my books. And that inspired me to write my second book. So, my second book is about someone who's investigating what happened to his parents after they disappear and they're found dead. And I tried to think about how this kid would feel, how this kid is trying to find his calm place, just like I'm trying to find my calm place. So, yeah, my second book was definitely more challenging, but all in all, I think my second book came out better than my first book, and I think that's one of the reasons why.
Wow. And you, okay, now in terms of challenges though, when you look at, let's look at your mom.
Yeah.
When you look at your mom, when and she's writing her books and everything, what would you say that you noticed was truly one of the biggest challenges that you feel your mother faced in terms of when she was writing her book? You said, I saw, and how did it impact you? How did it impact your writing?
To be honest, one of the main challenges I saw when my mom was writing her books is how she kind of like put books, business, and family time all together and found time to do each of them together. So, like, trying to make sure that even though she's writing her books, everything else is working the same way. And I noticed that even though she was dealing with a lot, like trying to set up her business and things, I noticed that when she was writing her books, she seemed very calm and happy. And she basically, how do I say it? She basically put herself into the book. So she basically based it on things that she's experienced, stories that she's heard, and also stories that not only she's heard from her mother, my grandmother, and my grandmother's told me as well. And I realized that my mom's books basically were her trying to show what her background and her cultural values and things like that. And that's what really inspired me to kind of put myself into my book and think about how the characters in my book would think and how I would feel if I was in their shoes. And yeah.
See, that's wonderful. Now, okay, let's talk about like book one. What's the challenge? I mean, because I know we're going to have some people reading that book now, so let's not give it all away. But would you say, just a challenge that you feel was faced in book one?
Yeah, so one challenge I faced was I had a general idea for the book, but sort of halfway through writing it, my challenge was I didn't know how to end my story. Like I was thinking of several different endings to my story, and I wrote and rewrote the ending several times. And that was really challenging because I wanted an ending that sort of like it was like the book flowed into the ending and it wasn't just like an abrupt random ending. And yeah, that was basically my challenge because I knew the premises of the book. I knew what was happening in the book, but I didn't know how to like bring that into a climax and to bring it to an ending. So I would say that was my biggest challenge with my first book.
And what was your solution? How did you come up about with your ending? What happened?
So like I said, I had to write and rewrite several different endings.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing did, and I think this helped, was just coming up with a completely random ending and then trying to align the story to that ending. And I feel like by doing that, that sort of helped me narrow down my options because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to like completely change the story around to try and get that ending to work. But yeah, that's what I did. So basically, write an ending, and then go through the book and try to see what things I can change to make the transition more smooth.
You sound so creative. You really do. You got a lot of creativity. In you. I was just listening to you. In terms of your like your hook, the hook for your story. How did you go about like maybe creating your hook? Did you rewrite, like we all have to do, or you had an idea of what you could use, as your hook?
Yeah, it was kind of a mix of both. Like I knew I wanted to do like some sort of magical fantasy story about like superheroes because from a very young age I've been interested in superheroes and things that they can do, but I wanted to like combine that superpower aspect to real life as well and try to make the story seem realistic. So that's where I got my idea for Ricardo Brown.
And that's your first book, right? Your
Yeah, that
first.
was my first
Okay,
book.
what's the design on that book? I was just curious. On that particular book, what's your design? If you could just describe it to us. What type of design does it have?
So, what type of design is that the book?
Yes.
So, are you talking about like how the book, what happens in the book, or the
Okay,
style of?
okay. No, just the front cover. Something that can really just attract people to say, I've gotta read that book. And then it's got your title, the title, and then the design of your book.
So, for the design of my book on the front cover, I drew the characters on the front cover myself, but then I used Canva to generate a background. And I just basically overlaid those characters over the background. So, in the background, if you notice, you'll see a couple of shadows behind the characters because they're being followed, and it's a dark night in the forest. And on top of that, I added like the characters with a bright and vibrant colors so that the characters stood out, but it was like a contrast to the background as well. And I then added the title over it and then my name below it.
You know what? Now, so you really got. I'm ready.
Mhm.
I'm ready to read your book. I'll be reading it anyway, but I'm saying that if I had, if I'm, a reader and I heard what you just said, plus the readers will be viewing this, podcast with you. And what you just said, just think you've got it, you've pretty much making people want to throw the door wide open so they can run out and grab that book. See, I love that. And let me ask you this. If you had to compare and contrast both books, how would you do that? The books you've written, what's similar about them and what's different?
So I think let's start with similarities. I think the similarity in the book is like the characters because they're all around like the same age. They're all like 13, 14 year olds, like young teenagers. And the differences in my book are like the length. Like, for example, my second book is much longer than my first book. My second book has like around 300 pages, while my first book had less than 100. And another difference was like the atmosphere of the stories. While my first book had more of a casual atmosphere, the second book really explored the characters' emotions more and the atmosphere was more serious and intense. And that those are really like the main differences that stood out for me when comparing and contrasting my two books.
So that was great hearing your description there. And you know why I say that? Because I've run across quotes, because I'm a writer and I've run across quotes. And you know what they've said though is this, that if you can't feel it, how do you expect the reader to feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And you felt it, didn't you?
I totally get that.
When writing your book though, I mean, so you felt the emotional, you felt it, didn't you? And there's times but there are times when you just went, wow. You look reading it yourself and say, I really like that. And see, you're viewing it, isn't that right, Preeti? You're viewing it like a reader would. Is it, Preeti, in your series? I just wanted to ask you about your series. If you could also tell us what inspired you to write the series. You've got a 6-book series, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So it basically started with my daughter like listening to wanting to listen to stories to go to sleep. So and like with the difference with Pranav and her is like with Pranav, he was born in India. He was there until he was almost 5 years of age. So that early on he had grandparents with him, grandparents visiting him, visiting them, and a lot of these stories and things he had heard from them. And so he has kind of a background of our culture that he had already seen. But with my daughter, she was born here. So I kind of felt that if I don't expose her to this or I don't tell her
Mm,
about these things,
mm, mm.
that wouldn't happen generically being here because there, like, we don't have any relatives in Canada, or like, of course, the grandparents can visit and they do visit, but then it's like just a couple of months here and there, like once several years. So that's basically why I initially started telling her these stories. And when I was telling her these stories, then some of it she wanted to see how this character looks like, or when I tell her, oh, there was this god who looked like this, or there was this demon or somebody who was like this, and then she's like, oh, how does this person look? So that's when I started. So my books have illustrations and mixed. So some of my books have illustrations which are just sketches so the kids can color them in. Some of them are like colored images, and some books have like even puzzles and questions in them that the kids can do. So for initially the first book was basically, yeah, all coloring pages. So alternate pages have text and alternate pages have coloring pages on them. And that initially, basically, I just created them on Canva. And it was more of me reading her the ebook or the PDF version of it. And some of her friends, my friends, the moms, when they saw them, like, they liked it and they asked me where it is from or where did I buy it from. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, maybe there is a market and maybe I should publish it. So that's how the first book got published. And
That's
uh, and like the same, like the first two books were like that. And then actually for my third book, a friend of mine in the UK, she was the one who gave me an idea because for that particular god or that particular book, that she was trying to find a book about that particular character to tell stories to her own son, because her family, like, it's like her family god and they believe in that and they go to those temples. But then there was no book that was like for that age group, right? So most books were more for like adults or like the original spiritual scriptures, but then you can't tell them or you can't read them out to a 4 or 5 year old. So she wanted me to like write something in a way that those stories could be told to her son, who was, I think, back then 3 or 4 years old. So that's kind of why that book happened. So it was more from, yeah, the reader's feedback that the third book happened. And the last two books, one is more in terms of, yeah, it's about Shakti, which is the goddess, but then Shakti in English also means courage or
Okay.
power.
Okay.
So it's more of, it's the nine different forms of power depicted by nine different goddesses. And that story, I would also say, is like a small women empowerment kind of book for little girls, because I find that more books in the Western system or the world has like Cinderella kind of books, where in most places there is that Prince Charming who has to come and rescue the girl. But these books talk about the power that a girl has within her, which she can use herself and stand up for herself or stand up for all her friends, instead of having to rely on somebody else to come and help her.
You know what? Beautiful. And I know you read. You go out and you read, right? Some of the books too. Okay. Which of your books though have you found have really just been impactful though for different audiences? What would you say? You had to rank some. I think this was the one that the kids really enjoyed. Which would you say? Is it like maybe one or even three? The top three you feel that really were impactful.
Um, I would say, like, in terms of the sales, the first book, but I'm thinking that may also be because, like I said, every other page is a coloring page, and so maybe,
Interactive.
and yeah, and some parents have told me that it's nice that they can read the story out to the child and then leave the child to color while they actually do something else or get their work done. So that
Mhm.
way it's more interactive, and that's helped. And in terms of probably that connection or learning the value or having that connection, I would say the Shakti book, because I have had a couple of my colleagues or like people in my network who are in Canada and in the
Mhm.
US, who otherwise do not know like the Hindu culture, or they are not from that background, who have read that book to their daughters, and they feel like that's a really nice book for little girls to read.
Well, look, I wanted to ask the two of you, and I'll start with you, Preeti, since I'm talking with you. Um, well, I want to ask you, your son's two books. What did you see? What change did you see or transformation occur or challenge that you saw that you are really proud of that you saw occur with your son writing his books? What did you see? What you as a mom and even your husband, what have you seen that you could say that he's gone from this point here, from one, of course, up to number 10? What would you say, Preeti, as
I
mom?
would say, like, one is the level of writing itself, like, because like from his first book to his second book, you see like even the characters, like how much more mature the characters are, or how much more he has like uh, gone more into the emotions of the character or how the person will feel. And so like the characterization is more in depth. So I think that's one thing I definitely notice. And then I would say, like, even with him as a person, like, I don't know if it's just the books and the writing or a lot of other elements to it, but like even his teachers have said, like from last year to this year, the way he deals with things in school or the way he does things, like there is an overall maturity in him which has also improved. So I think that's also something I would say.
Okay, let me ask you the last question is how has the writing, let's say writing, of course, actually, would you say connected? Have there been challenges that you want to maybe even mention, just something brief that you feel the two of you maybe faced child, I mean, just as mother and son with the writing, something that you feel helped you to grow, and then maybe something that you had to overcome, within your writing, both writing books together.
I think in terms of the growth, I think both of us, yes, we have evolved from our first book to our next books and so far. So I think the way we write or the way we try to connect with the readers, I think that's changed. And I would say, like, in the negative side, or like the side which is more challenging, is on the marketing side, because as self-published authors, like, you do not have like a big publishing house backing you, which then means you're not just writing your book, but then you're marketing your own book, and you're trying to get different platforms or things to showcase your book. So all of it, the complete things on you. So you're not just the author, you're the marketer, you're the salesperson for your book. So I think that's the challenge we face. And um, yeah, so
Okay.
and
Well,
that's where we're trying to improve too.
but it's getting ready to change now with the author challenge. And Praneev, I want to ask you, when you look at your mom, as a writer though, um, and as she's published the books, what have you seen the changes that you've seen that you are very that you say, I'm real proud. I've seen my mom really change in the areas of what would you say? How has writing really helped her in terms of like of her life now? How has it really impacted her more positively?
Um, So I think in my mom's case, writing became like a way for her to reach out and like gain more connections. And I noticed that there are a lot more people online that are now coming to her because of her books. And also, my mom set up an Instagram page called Wandering Pages for our books. And I think through that page, we've gotten a lot more attention for our books. I think right now we have like 70 followers almost.
No, not on that, do
Not on
we?
that. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, around 70 followers, and only
Congratulations.
it's only been the matter of like 1 or 2
Yeah, it's only
months.
about 2 months or
Yeah,
so.
1 or 2 months. So I feel like the book has really been a way for us to put ourselves out there and like expand our reach and for more people to know about our skill set and know about what we're capable of doing.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that's what Preeti is going to talk to us about just now. Just tell us, Preeti, if you would like to, end here and just tell us something that you'd like to, in terms of inviting readers. And also I want Pranav, I want you to do the same, following your mom. Invite readers because you're part of the author challenge now. So you're right. We all have to speak out, don't we, Preeti? And we have to invite and tell people, get on in here and get my book. Because this is what you've already let us know what you can gain from it. So Preeti,
Mhm.
if you would, and then next, your son, I'd like to hear from him.
Okay, yeah. So, like you said, and like I also did mention, so the marketing has been our toughest part. So, yes, I would request like all the people listening in to check out our books, read our books, and give us like genuine feedback on what you think about these books, so that we can improve on our next books. And like we we are always looking for more ideas. So like, or even if you have ideas on, oh, maybe this is something you should think about writing, let us know, and we may work on it as well. And also, like, so in the coming year, we both of us are also collaborating on a new series. So it's going to have a mix of both our areas of strength, I would say, like where there will also be like references to Indian Hindu mythology, but it's also going to be more of a teen or a young adult uh, mystery thriller kind of a book. So it's going to be more like the Rick Riordan kind of books where you have the mythology, but like Rick Riordan's mostly Greek mythology. But so this will be more Hindu mythology with the adventure thriller side. So please look out for our new book when it comes, and check it out and let us know.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Bernard.
yeah, so for all of you listening in, writing reviews and purchasing books is a really good way to help small authors who are just starting and want to like expand because when people online see good reviews, they understand that your books are more credible and they will come and buy your books. So, for all of you listening, writing reviews and giving feedback is also helpful for not only for people trying to find our books, but it's also helpful for us because it gives us an idea of what people think about our books and how we have to improve and how we can appeal to more people and get more books sold.
Hmm.
Eh,
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
Yes.
And for me, I think it's more of like a mixed emotions because like I've already been working with Marlene for a few months now and helping her with the author's challenge, and it's going to be fun trying to have my son be in the author's challenge and promoting him and his books through the platform too.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yep, and just and tell us just briefly about the author challenge.
Yeah, so basically, the author challenge that Marlene puts together is a 10-day author challenge where you have to sign up, and once you sign up, you would be getting a PDF or e version of the book to read, and you have those 10 days to read the book, recommend it to other people, share it with more friends and family. The more people read it, and the more reviews, the better, because the top three people in terms of the number of reviews, the quality of reviews, and the connection that you do with the author themselves. So the top three would get personal signed copies of the book with the author's signature and a small message from the author to you.
Excellent. And I just want to thank the two of you so much. Thank you. I mean, and honey, I am so honored to meet your son today. I mean, Preeti, you and your husband have done, I mean, exemplary job as parents. Now, I'm serious. I'm sitting here just listening to him, and then I'm going to go back and replay this so I can watch it. But I just want to say thank you, and you definitely deserve to be a part of the author challenge. I want to say that to you. I mean, you're so young and you are so mature for your age.
Thank
So
you.
your books are not only want to just be sold or get the book reviews, but you're empowering the readers. You are definitely empowering readers. And I want to say, and I'm glad that I'm on the sideline to be able to witness this. But I want to just thank everybody today. Thank you so much for joining us, and come join us, like Preeti said, with the author challenge. Enroll, and we'll have everything attached for you. So you can go ahead and sign up, and let's get going. If you're a new author, or if you're a new author and you're looking, aspiring, let us know. And we have a program for aspiring authors and for authors in general. So come join us, and we look forward to seeing you again at the author challenge. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.